this week on Stay Out of My Fridge.
I wanted to be a high school history teacher. I went to school briefly. I went to college briefly. And then all my friends were older, and they're like, hey, this is how much I'm making and stuff at these schools. And I'm like, what? Unless you want to sell a tape. I mean, are we all willing to risk that? What's your number?
It's a bear attacking a woman. That's a different video.
Ooh, barely
Yeesh.
got her.
Ooh.
Jesus Christ.
She drafted, she thought that she had picked up. She's like, my team is really good. I have Ray Rice.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's Rashee Rice. And she's like, no. It's Ray Rice. I know who he is. He's good. And I'm like, do you remember what he's famous for? So I showed her, and she's like, oh, that guy sucks.
Ooh, those things go together like spaghetti and meatballs, I think, right? Especially in 2024. But either way, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Out of My Fridge. The name each week continually grows on me more and more, like probably that weird from under cheese that Euban has growing on his balls. But either way, the voice you're hearing, it's me, it's Matt, it's Beard Laws. Joining me, as always, is Euban Whackenoff and Brandon J. McDermott, who's all smiles.
I even pulled out my Harry Husker hat. It's back from the 1950s, dude.
Harry Husker.
That's before
Wow,
Herbie.
That's Brandon got me watching some college football this weekend. I got to enjoy the hell out of watching a number 5 team, Notre Dame, lose to a team that they had no business. I mean, I guess they're technically kids and you play their game, but let's be honest. If anybody was going to bet Northern Illinois to straight up beat Notre Dame unless they were an alumni, they had some inside information.
Well, first things first, Nebraska beat that same Northern Illinois team 35-11 last year. Same quarterback. Of course, there's some turnover, of course, that always happens.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there. This is why college football is better than pro football. And I love pro football. I'm going to be spending all day watching pro football. But this is why college football is so much better, because I'm not playing fantasy college football, but I can watch because I know there's always going to be a team that's going to be upset like that. Now, There's so much parity in the NFL because there's only 32 teams, and it's pretty even when it comes to talent. Sure, there's the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks who are the best, and usually their teams do the best. But you can see a team who is completely and utterly on a talent basis out-talented Notre Dame versus Northern Illinois, and yet they still, on any given Saturday, if you're not executing, you're not going to play the best football you can. And your team like Northern Illinois is going to come to your house and beat you.
Unreal.
Illinois had a great day yesterday. Shout out to Illinois as well for beating Kansas.
Hey.
So you're not you're a Missouri fan, right?
I am.
Shout out to them, right? They got
They also got a win. Yes, the Brady Cook also doing some top 10 plays. So shout out to him as well. But I'm usually not a big college fan. Like I root for Mizzou, but if they're like, hey, well, who's their top 10, whatever, I'm like, I don't know who all these people are. I don't
Number
follow
69.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, well, did you know he went to high school here? No, I don't even know what state this high school is. I don't follow it, close enough. But I know that Brandon is a Nebraska fan, so I was sitting there and I was just like watching the score. I was like, oh shit! So I even shot him a text last night as well. I was like, let's go. And then honestly, I saw your text come through first of just I'm nervous, and I was like, oh okay. And then I didn't even get your 28-3 comment until today because my service sucks out here. So I was like, oh shit! So freaking hilarious. But yeah, you guys ended up getting that dub yesterday. Congratulations.
That's good. And the Cuse, the college closest to me that I kind of have to root for because I grew up in the area, they beat a top 25 team for the first time in a very long time. They took down Georgia Tech. Who wasn't Georgia Tech the one that took down Florida State?
They were?
The Cuse fans are buzzing. They're kind of like the junior league team to Bills Mafia. So I think they still try to potentially probably jump through tables and do some stupid shit. But I got some family and some friends that are season ticket holders, and they're excited. It's all fun and games though because they play in a dome until they go outside, and it's a whole different world. Allegedly. Either way, yeah, hell of a weekend for not only the teams that we continually root for, but you also have to love watching the defending champs get stomped. At least I did, especially in their own house as well. So Michigan got throttled.
anytime you can see a big team, especially Michigan, get beat like that, you love it. I hate Texas. It was like, what do I want to happen to that game? I want the earth to open up and just swallow the stadium.
Kind of like the Chiefs and the Ravens for me.
Right. But that didn't happen. And I'm a Broncos fan, so I completely understand that, Matt, by the way. But,
yeah.
But no, it's just football's here, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
So excited.
That's where they're like, hey, what part of a movie do you wish would happen in real life? And it's like, I just want to see at Arrowhead Bane just come up and just open up the end zone. You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, there goes Patrick. Jackson Mahomes is on the sideline as well. Not Brittany. No.
Just, how terrible. No, but instead they did it to the Steelers stadium. And since they've done that, it's not Heinz Field anymore. And the Steelers have been irrelevant, which nobody else except for a Steelers fan really cares. So it's okay. And I'm not crying because I've seen a lot of success and whatever. But yeah, because it wasn't the Batman. I think it was filmed in the city of Pittsburgh.
I did not know that.
Pretty sure. Yep. Which is weird because we actually talked about the year 2012 in Triple T. You guys probably saw that there a couple of days ago, Tuesday. And that's when The Dark Knight Rises or whatever. That's when that movie came out. So me and Burley got talking about. Burley went on this big rant because Goot couldn't make it, and Goot does the movies. But Burley went on a big rant about the Joker and Heath Ledger, and I was just kind of letting it go. And then we were kind of like, wrong movie. He's like, oh yeah, Joker and Heath, I think were both gone by then. So
they were.
Yeah, 2012. What an interesting year. But yeah, for us, and I know we are old men and whatever. We talk about some old things, but it got really cold today. At the time of the recording, it was 42 when I woke up this morning. 40 friggin' 2, and the kids had softball practice outside at 48. They're built a little different. Kids are out there in t-shirts and shorts, and I'm like, this is some basketball practice, kids, but not mine. Thankfully, I'm that parent. It's like, bundle up. You know, you got too much shit going on to be sick. But it's the leaves are changing and that, and then we get to. I asked Burley, and I want to ask you guys, like, is there areas near you? And I'm only asking because, like, it's a big thing for people to come to our area with the Adirondack Mountains and stuff and watch the leaves change. Like, there's a whole schedule of the best time for peak. We call them leafers. They come up here to the mountains. They just come up here. You know, they add tourism. They add, money to the economy. But, yeah, they go to these places like Lake Placid, which is you guys have at least heard of that, the movie with the alligator, and places like that. But they do really well, the local businesses, because of the leafers. So you guys have area. I'm always curious, I guess, other states and other areas if they have it.
You talking about folks that come to like watch leaves and stuff as tourism?
Just to watch, yeah. Like, so when the leaves are dying and decaying and they're turning yellow and red and orange and stuff,
So we've got foliage, whatever it is, doesn't change here in Nebraska. My mustache itching the hell out of my nose. Doesn't change here in Nebraska until mid to late October, and I just verified that, looked that up. So we still got a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
But here where I'm at in central Nebraska, what they do is it's not in the fall time, it's in the springtime around February, March more closely, March, April. The whooping cranes are huge here. And so people will come from all over the world, come to the Platte River early in the morning to camp out because that's when they there's hundreds of thousands of these bad boys. And what's funny about it is in Texas, open game because it's fucking Texas. But here you can't shoot them. But they're called ribeye of the sky because apparently they're delicious. And I've never had them, but here in Nebraska, they're basically second to corn, beef, and the Cornhuskers.
We're the same couple of weeks. So it's mid-October, but things are starting to kind of,
gotcha.
The because we were looking at some places and the reservations and stuff are ramping up already months ago. So yeah, and it's interesting. You said Texas. Burley being a Texas guy, he said what's big down there is the bonnet or whatever. They change a blue, or there's something they go all blue, and that's the big thing. Obviously, the trees aren't changing because it's just hotter and hottest down in Texas. But
yeah, I mean, working in the tourism industry, I can safely say that a lot of people not coming for the leaves, unfortunately. A lot of the history museums and Pony Express type of shit.
Maybe coming for the other kind of leaves, you know what I'm saying?
Ew. At least Brandon, near you, at least you got the Kool-Aid, right? You got the Kool-Aid stuff going on?
Yeah, here in Hastings where Kool-Aid was born. Hastings, Nebraska.
That's wild.
We invented pancake mix.
Ooh.
Now, who is we, Matt? Or excuse me, Euban.
Oh, sorry. So I would say Saint Joseph. We are also Eminem, Marshall Mathers, though he claims 8 Mile, Detroit, and everything else, from Saint Joseph.
Whoa.
Yes, yeah. If you look it up, his grandma still lives here, and she was in awful condition. She is wild. So
hopefully they don't lose her, because apparently losing grandmas is a thing near you, huh? No? Body Wrong episode? Grandma? Mother-in-law? Lost her?
Oh, yeah, sorry,
yeah.
Jesus. Yes,
it's okay, I got you there.
That grandma. I was thinking of like my own, and I was like, did I lose her at one point in time? I'm like,
I mean,
I'm trying to think.
Unfortunately, we all do lose our grandmas, but in a different way.
Yes, yeah. They did. There's the finder's fee for $100. That's still wild.
I don't think anything was invented near the closest thing invented, I guess, near me is the lifesaver foil. I think was invented in a place near me. So when you drive through the town, there's just a big lifesaver, and all the uneducated people in the area, they're like, "Oh, we invented the lifesaver." No, the dude bought lifesavers and invented the foil to be able to preserve them and keep them and ship them and everything. So
it's still pretty cool.
Oh, the air fresheners, the little tree air fresheners for the vehicles, they were invented in Watertown, New York, which is like an hour from me. Which this is a little bit of some stuff that I threw out there to Euban, so I'm going to throw it out there. There's same area, same school district, apparently had 230 families, Brandon, that decided this year, from last year's school year to this year, to homeschool their kids. 230 families, not kids. You have to imagine there's multiple kids. You're probably 400 to 600 kids left this one school to be homeschooled.
What kind of impact is that having?
It has to. But so I was reading through the comments and stuff, and it doesn't. I mean, granted, the people that are in there are just all anti. Oh, the schools aren't teaching this and blah. But they still have to pay school taxes whether their kids go there. So the school districts themselves are still getting the money. It's just less kids in this said school. And I don't know anything about the school. Like I said, it's an hour away. You hear the schools. I'm sure there's schools and stuff are an hour away that you hear some stuff. But this one also is near like a military base. So I don't know if they get some of the like the military kids or families, or maybe just the city or town, whatever the hell they are just going through some tough times. But that number blew my mind.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, on the short term, if I was a parent of a kid, I'd be like, well, at least my children are going to get more benefit, bang for their buck at the school, more attention, more one-on-one time with the teacher. And I suppose, depending on where you are in the country, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But, long term, I mean, if I'm a city council person or on the board of education or whatever the case may be, locally, I'm thinking to myself, what's this going to change?
Yeah.
Is there I mean, of course, you're in New York, so things probably aren't going to change that much. Public school system there is fairly well respected on the state level as a whole, I'm guessing. But long term, I mean, there's always been talk of like defunding local school districts and stuff. And too much of my property taxes go to schools is an opinion, not my opinion, is an opinion, is what I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah, it has to raise some kind of red flags in the state or something like that. And what I read too, which kind of blew my mind a little bit, is that a lot of the families that are pulling the kids aren't like the lower IQ or whatever the right way to say it is. It's a lot of the kids that are doing really well in school and the higher percentage that are being pulled because they're saying that their kids aren't getting good education. Like they're kind of being held back. And a lot of these homeschool people in the area, like I said, I really read into this. I was bored last night. That they're actually, all of these homeschool kids in the same area are testing in the 90th percentile for kids. You know what I mean? And they're actually doing better test-wise leaving the school district than being in it.
Wow.
Something, I don't know. And those parents that have to do the homeschooling, I mean, could you imagine like having to leave a job to homeschool like the kids and then have to, I mean, you got to put them through the education. They still have to go through the tests. They get checked on, I think, quarterly or, so many different months. Like, it's a lot to ask of somebody that potentially isn't in the education system, but having a wife in the education system, I know how much they get paid. It's not a lot. It's not a lot at all.
Yeah, I think I would add to that. You can have not you, but to the general you, people can have opinions on school systems and this and that, but I think we get too easily thrown into the idea that there are conspiracies and there are people locally who are doing nefarious things. These teachers are just people who are working hard, generally speaking, and who want to help kids. And they're demonized far too often, and they don't make loads of money, and they have to work on in-service days and extra weeks in the summer to get ready for school. And so there's so much asked of them. You want to talk about the problem. The problem, I think, would lie more closely to administration, the administration at bigger school systems like the one I came from in Omaha, or State Board of Education, or how things are dealt with there. But locally, schools and teachers, I mean, people just want to have good kids, and they want to take care of kids, and teachers do a great job, I think. I mean, my kids in preschool, and just seeing how some of the teachers interact with the kids that I see after school, it's like these teachers care, and it's tough what they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Now, do those kids still get to participate in like youth sports and everything, or like how does that work?
I believe they can youth sports, but I don't believe that they are able to participate in public sports. I don't know that for a fact in the state of New York, but I've never seen a homeschooled athlete be in sports like through the district.
Right.
Well, I have to assume, again, not knowing and not looking it up, but that you would have to be a part of the public school to be able to play on the public team. There are private schools and stuff, at least in New York. So a lot of times through the state championship, they would have like the public school matchups. Then they would have a secondary one where the champions of the public play some of the private ones for like federation or something. I don't know if they still do it, but I know at one point they did. But I've never seen, I've been around the sports for 20-something years, and I've never seen a homeschooled. I've seen foreign exchange students be able to play, but they're in the school district,
That is, I mean, so imagine how that's hitting. I know at least in my area, if that many families, that would be pretty much the whole school, but like
right.
If it was at least in the area, I mean, that would really, really hurt just are they going to have enough people to be able to try out? Now they're probably not going to be worth of, assuming if they have that, if they're testing in the 90th percentile, they're probably not on the football team. Maybe, I don't know, just assuming. But
in a bigger school, I'd have to agree with you. But in a smaller school like us that we're used to, you have to, most of the time, in my opinion, from little stuff to noticing like who's getting the awards at school, who's getting these, the art projects in the art case and stuff like that. It seems to always be kids that are in athletics most of the time. Like. Not are we out there producing athletes that are going Division I and pro? No. Are most of them even playing at a junior college? No. But sports, and I'm always a believer, and I think a lot of us, would agree that playing sports teaches you more than just playing sports. You know what I mean? You learn to take orders more or less. Routine. There's a lot to it, and these kids seem to do well that are super smart and athletic. And like the oldest, her team is full of kids. They're all like on the high honor roll. And pretty good athletes. Like, it's kind of cool.
It is. It seems like it's completely different from whenever we grew up. You know what I mean? It always seemed like the guys that were, the really, really slow ones were like, oh, okay, like, hey, they're probably going to be in Votech. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see them, half day or whatever. And then I'm like, I got the like invitation for Votech, and I go, they're on to me. They realize I'm part of them. All right, well, auto body it is. I lasted 2 days, and I went back to home ec.
You know how much time has changed is we all graduated around the same time between the turn of the century and like 07, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 04. So anyway, whatever. My wife was in a couple of special classes, and she's looking around and she's like, hey, what's going on? Why is everybody? She's dyslexic. And so, but they like clumped her into, she's smarter than I am. She just sees numbers and letters mixed up because of her brain, right? And so, but here she is with these kids that are on a different level than her, respectfully. But yeah, she's looking around like, why am I here? Why is that one slobbering? Why?
Yep.
But
But what's crazy too, kind of to throw that back, when I was going through school, and maybe you guys, maybe it's different where you were, especially here, everybody was like, you need a New York State Regents high school thing. You know what I mean? You got to go through there. You got to school. You got to, take these levels and then go to college for 4 years and this and that. And it's like, you sons of bitches. Like if I would have, like when you brought up the vocal or the vocational, whatever, like here they call it BOCES. I don't know the acronym for it.
Right.
Where you go into a trade school more or less. Like I would have loved, I tried to, and they were like, no, you are on the track for this. You are on doing this. You're taking, I'm like, but I want to go and learn a trade. Like that's where the money is. And they're like, no, college, blah, blah. And now there's like no trades. Like they are dying in my area to get kids to go and do the trades, like to fix the trucks, to do HVAC, to do that kind of, that hard labor stuff. And it's great money. And thankfully, at least in this area, they're really pushing that again and being like, well, I guess you don't really need this, or you know what, we'll give you both. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think college gets a bad rap a lot of times, but I think in some cases it gets the rap it deserves because of how long, how many decades it's been that tuition has gone up, that the states, the state institutions and these educational institutions, colleges, universities are getting loads and loads of money and then pushing it onto the kids. I've heard of stories of colleges here in Nebraska and universities here in Nebraska promising kids from out of town that their tuition is $12,000. They show up and they get billed $28,000 for a year. And so like, it's just out of this world. Like our parents, I have my uncle who's much older than my dad, graduated college in the mid to late 70s. His tuition was like $1,000 or something like that per year.
Yep.
Like that is crazy to me that people are going in debt and these kids are not understanding what debt truly means, and that student loans don't go to the grave with you. They go to your wife or your husband, you know what I mean? It lives on. And so they're going to get their money. But it's like healthcare. We don't want to get into politics here, but the problem is it's a deep rooted problem with so many different tentacles and so many different channels of contributing factors of why this is the way it is. It's not just a black and white. It's this way because of this one person or entity. It's a lot of different reasons why we have this terrible system. And listen, I went to college. I graduated. It was a complete waste of time for what I was trying to do. A complete waste of time.
That's the thing. You're expecting a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid to say, this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Go drop $100,000. It'd be like buying a house and then being like, ooh, I can't afford this house. No kid is going to be able to afford all of that. I mean, even doctors, they go to school for like 27 years, it seems like, and they still are in debt. Yeah, they make a ton of money, and then they have no life. But at the same point, it's like the middle kid right now is like, I'm not going to college. I'm like, yeah, well, you still have many years to figure that out. I can open a daycare, or I can, do hair and this and that and make a good enough living and have no debt. Like, I don't have to have that. Like, why would I go to college if I don't know what I want to do? And I'm like, I agree, but let's just keep some options open here.
Right.
And I didn't go to college until I was 27. So
yeah.
See, and like my wife is finishing her degree at I shouldn't say her age, but she's in her early 30s. So,
yeah.
But
she's 55. Yeah. Like,
but she but no, the Votech school or whatever that they have in one of the towns actually closed because tuition seems expensive in relevance to, because everyone just assumes that you're like, oh, you have to go to this type of college. And it warrants it being that expensive. And then they see this, HVAC school, and they're like, well, this seems really, really high. And it's like, but it's so much more rewarding than this other one, it seems like, you know what I mean? And, but they've closed so many of them down, and yeah, now it seems like it's a dying trades on a lot of that stuff. Which brings me to, Matt, I was telling you that my kids got to go fly this weekend. I got an email saying, hey, there's this Young Eagles rally, I believe is what they called it. But
was Rob there? He's a big Eagles fan.
He's pretty short. He looks like a young child. He probably could have, he probably could have passed
until he talks and they hear his mouth.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, little buddy," and he's like, "What the?" But yeah, I guess I was like, well, I guess I didn't understand why they were doing all this for free. There was kids aged from 8 to 17. They're like, "Hey, we just want to get them in," especially if it's their first time. We just like to show them everything. It's what it's like to fly. And my kids have never been on an airplane, and I was like, "Hey, do you guys want to go do this?" And they're like, "Sure." Had to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and everything, but I'm like, worth it. Got to sit in a hangar. They showed them everything about an aircraft. They got to go up, and my daughter even got to fly. So she thought she's pretty cool now. She's like, "Hey," she's like, "The first time I got to go on an airplane," she's like, "I got to fly it." She's like, "No big deal, no big deal." I'm like, "Get out of here, big head." But they come whenever we get done. They're like, "Hey, if you guys want to do classes and stuff like that," we're like, "Of course." They're like, "No." They're like, they pointed out it's actually pretty cheap nowadays, but I guess they're just trying to encourage people and just get them interested in flying because they feel like there will be a shortage eventually because it's not what it used to be. Not a lot of people are doing it anymore. And then I looked at prices of airplanes and I'm like, that's the reason why. Have you seen the price of an airplane? Holy shit.
But it's crazy because I just looked this up. It's 1,500 hours of flying to be an airline transport pilot to get your certificate. You know what I mean? So obviously there's going to be classes and stuff like that, but I guarantee you could become a pilot, make a very affordable living traveling, flying in less time and way less money than going to a 4-year college or whatever like that. It's like I my life goal when I graduated, and it's funny looking 20-something years back now, was I wanted to be a gym teacher. And then I started going through classes, and you pretty much have to be a science major for some reason. Still don't get that, but you had to learn biology, anatomy, all of this stuff. I guess because it's physical. I was like, why do I have to go all through all this to teach a kid how to play friggin' dodgeball and kickball and softball? So I was like, nope, not for me. So I quit. I started working, and then I was like, you know what? Computers aren't going away. This is 2003-ish, 2004. I went and got a 1-year certificate. Cost me about, not even kidding you, $2,500, and was able to, have a pretty decent career in IT until I realized working with kids is about as much fun as, working in IT and having everybody pissed off at you all the time.
No. But, I wanted to be a high school history teacher, so I completely agree. I went to school briefly. I went to college briefly. And then all my friends were older, and they're like, "Hey, this is how much I'm making and stuff at these schools." And I'm like, What? And I'm like, is it worth it? And they're like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, sometimes you have to do these events where you're there till like 7 and 8 and everything." And I'm like, "Get the fat out of here." I'm like, I didn't think this through. I'm like, I'm not really interested in this being rewarding. It takes special people, just like in the medical field. I'm just not that. Nope. I got into sales and I realized that I could talk to people sometimes. And I was like, hey, this seems easier. I don't have to go to school. So eventually I'll be on a used car lot being scummier than ever. That's when I know that I've made it.
I remember a conversation I had with this kid who was about as smart as a box of rocks and who went to college and was making loads of money. And I'm like, "I'm sorry, you're making how much now?" Surely that comma's in the wrong place, right? Like, where did I go wrong? Well, that's the thing when you decide to talk into a microphone for your job. You're not really getting into rocket science, Mike.
That's true. I saw somebody, speaking of talking into a mic for a living, but a different mic, a phone mic. I recently have seen 3 or 4 social media people with some big followings pretty much begging for money lately because apparently a lot of accounts are getting hacked by people, and then all of a sudden they're freaking out because they are losing all of this monetization money, and this is how I support my family. GoFundMe. And I'm like, come on. Like, and one of them even said in I think the GoFundMe, like, this is how I support my family. Like, I'm even having to look at part-time jobs, and that's very difficult for us. And I'm like, off.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for people is, and this is probably the point you're making is like, here's reality, and like not reading the room of this is what everybody else has to do. And we get it's so easy for folks to get detached from reality and to see themselves above everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to work a part-time job anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. This is why I think social media is so terrible, because it creates this idea of fame and this idea that you can be something by doing literally nothing. And listen, I'm a nobody. I'll tell you the first thing. I've got 2 million followers on social media. That means absolutely dick. It means nothing. It means literally zero. What does it mean? I can do dumb enough shit to make people want to watch a video, and that's literally all it means. Do I actually bring value to things? No. Now, if you're a brand and you want to talk to me, I completely disagree with what I just said. But,
me too. He brings such a value to everything.
But honestly, I think that's the heart of it is the value that we bring as content creators to people's lives is near zero. Like it's nothing. It's nothing. Maybe it's made some people happy and smile and forget about their day, and that's great. I'm glad it did. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that my job is important, and if I lost all this, I'd go pimping out GoFundMe pages and please do this and please do that.
Yeah.
Matt, I tell you, I've said this 100 times on your show.
Do it 101.
If you're going to have fun on social media, it has to be a side gig. And you have to remember you're not Kim Kardashian.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never going to...
Unless you want to sell a tape. I mean, are we all willing to risk that? What's your number?
but you're not going to be Kim Kardashian, and that's okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. The farther up you go, the crazier it gets. Look at Travis Kelce, and like whether or not this shit is true or not between him and Taylor Swift with the setup for the breakup or anything like that. Like when fame becomes the most important thing in your life and how to keep it me on the front of the headlines and this and that, I'm going to start crafting my relationships with people and start planning out. Look at all these actresses and actors, not just actresses,
mm-hmm.
who've had dozens of people they've been with, and it's all for publicity. It's not for love. It's not for this. It's not for that. There are certainly exceptions to that rule, but it's just gross. That's what we become when you hit the tip top. Yeah. You have to do the dance, and you have to do some terrible things and really sell yourself in so many different ways. It's gross. Now I'm kind of dove into Cat Williams territory here, but
what I thought was funny, you brought up obviously Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, and obviously anytime you say Taylor Swift, you actually get a bump in views. So Taylor Swift. But did you see in that the best part of that game for me was there was a garage beer in a shot when they happened to show Taylor Swift. It was a lime garage beer. And apparently somehow Garage Beer was able to get that can, and now they have a giveaway where you can win the garage beer that I don't even think Taylor Swift was drinking out of it. It was near there, but it was just funny because it's like Garage Beer sees it. They probably got tagged in it. They either saw it or somebody did, and they're like, oh. And it was just, I'm going to try to see if I can find the picture of it, but it was hilarious. And I happened to see on Instagram that they were like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and auction this off. But they were like, look at her. She's jumping all in. She's got the...
It's so weird to me how there's a part of us, there's a portion of us, a percentage of us who hate celebrity. Just hate the idea. I don't give a fuck who you are. We're like, oh my God, look, it's Billy Johnson over there. He's in that movie that one time. Nobody gives a shit, right? But then there's some of us who are like, oh my God, Kim Kardashian did what? Did you see the argument her and her sister had on Instagram? Like, we can't do enough of this. We can't get enough of this. And this goes back, maybe it's within all of us, but this goes back to, hundreds, if not thousands of years. We look up to our leaders or our military leaders or our dictators or countries or monarchs or people who are doing these crazy things in history. And we want to be that. We strive to be remembered. Maybe it's part of it that we want to leave a legacy. We want our lives to be something. And maybe doing silly TikTok videos will be that reason, right? Who knows? But none of this shit matters.
Here's the shot that was on TV. And Garage Beer put the smallest can who ever lived. And then you look at the next post. Giveaway alert. We're sending this piece of history to the lucky one and your friend to share custody. Apparently, that's
wild.
That's the can.
That is insane.
So I'm not gonna lie to you. I put in for that giveaway because if I win it, Ed is going right there, and I'm gonna be like, Tony.
Oh, for sure.
Look what I got.
Oh my God. That is wild. You know, what if he would, I like unironically, he just tagged himself and he won it? He'd be like, oh my God.
That
would be
I would make so
wild.
much content with some videos of Tony and the big Taylor Swift fan that he is, and they have really gone through the roof with that whole Kelsey brother, buying into the business, and then you got that guy that chugs the beer. I'll give you 100 if you beat me to your 20 or whatever. Donnie, I forget his name. I think it's Donnie or Ronnie, but I don't know if you saw it. He went down to West Virginia, and they saw the whatever, and Pat McAfee actually chugged with him. Obviously didn't do the 20 or whatever. He's like, yeah. And Pat's like, oh, man, I'm going to throw up, whatever, this and that. So I think Pat chugged a garage beer with him, did the cheers. He was like, holy shit. And he's like, man, that's like, what do you do for a living? He's like, this. He goes, Pat looks at him. He goes, fuck off. This is what you do for a living. He's like, yeah. He goes, this man's brilliant. This man has figured out how to drive across the country, drink beer, and make a living doing it. He's like, you're living the American dream, my friend. And it was just... And you could tell he was hammered. Not Pat, the other guy, because he had been chugging beer versus people all day for content.
I want everybody to reverse this video about 35 seconds to where Matt said Pat McAfee. And I want you to see how big Euban's eyes got when he said Pat McAfee. That celebrity, no, and that's not, no, I'm not putting you down at all, Euban. It's like, we are like, holy shit, Pat McAfee? Like that, you talk to Pat McAfee? You know Pat McAfee? Like, what is it about celebrity? We just care. We care.
I love how, like, we were talking about getting interested in college football. I think that he's helped me get interested in it as well, just because I don't watch a lot of TV really or anything like that. And I try to catch as many games as I can. So usually it's just sports, but I don't know, whenever he's on and stuff like that, I find his shit very entertaining. That was a 7.1 out of 10, by the way.
That was good. I like that.
Girthy.
No, it's good. Yeah.
Deep. Oh,
and he's chugging beers on like live TV now. I mean, like he's entertaining. I don't know. And he's everywhere.
I got to rewind now. Fuck. A week. I never got a rating on that burrito. What the fuck happened? Hold on.
Oh, hold up.
So you're talking about the muchacho burrito I had.
The only burrito that we are invested in. Come on.
I thought about that for days, and I even thought about I was going to text you, and I was like, I wonder how that burrito was. And I was like, and then
I can't buy a burrito now because I've seen that burrito, and then I made clips about the burrito, and I'm just like, there's no other burritos that can compare to this.
I gotta tell you, I'm being 100% honest. I ate it a day later. That plays into the score.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of meat. There was a lot of pulled pork and a lot of brisket and a lot of chicken. I was completely overrated. I probably would give it a 4. Honestly, I would not spend $20 on a fucking burrito like that. There was no sauce. The bean and rice and cheese and cream ratio. There was no cream or sauce. It felt like there was like a teaspoon of salt of slaw, and there was like nothing but meat. And it was like, really, this is what we're doing with our lives. So it's an experience, and it helps the Husker team, but it wasn't that good. It was very. You do it for the experience once, and then you never go back.
Or you get it, or continually if they send them to you, you could probably break it apart and make other burritos with it, but then you'd have to add, a little bit of rice, a little bit of this, and then it could probably be.
I split that bitch in 4 plays. My wife, myself, my in-laws had some, so I didn't eat it all. And I was full, but I was completely and utterly overrated.
Yeah,
sadly,
sad. Now I'm a little sad about it.
But Fat Daddy doesn't lie when it comes to food. If it's not good, I'm going to tell you.
God, so he's going to rate that to stay out of his fridge.
Ooh. Yes. Yeah, it's out of the fridge. It's out of the fridge. This is kind of food related and TikTok and social, and it just accidentally clicked something when I was showing the garage beer, and it went to this. Apparently, have you guys ever heard of this viral video content creator who gives a funny spin to fancy restaurants' style of serving food? He serves food on anything but plates. There's a guy named Quite Funny for an Only Child. Apparently he is his real name is Freddie. He puts a spin on fancy restaurants. He dresses up in suits, and the next thing you know, he's serving food on a 4 like a little bookshelf. Here, I'll show you a picture. He's serving some food on a shovel. Apparently this is... Ooh, what did I do? I don't want to press that button. But yeah, he just serves some food on some interesting stuff. This is, quite funny for an only child on Instagram, serving it on a piece of, looks like OSB board. That's his thing. Fancy restaurants just using different stuff. He found, probably just did something being funny one day, went viral, and now that's the lane he probably lives in, I would imagine. That's a bear attacking a woman. That's a different video.
Ooh. Barely got her.
Ooh.
Jesus Christ.
Bare necessity.
How those Royals doing there, Euban?
God, they only lost like fucking 12 in a row. But you know what?
At least they're not the White Sox, right?
I know my brother-in-law is a diehard White Sox fan, and I can't bring baseball up around him. I don't have the heart to say anything. Like, oh my God, like they're on pace to be the worst record ever in baseball, right? Or is it?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. And then luckily we've been having our way with the Twins. So at this time.
And you know what's awesome? Because I'm in fantasy baseball playoffs, and I have this unique strategy where I go after one team's entire starting rotation. Doesn't it happen to be the friggin' Twins?
Oh.
And they have been unreal all year. But then what happens? And they still have, what's his face that's healthy? Pablo Lopez, healthy. You know, he's been pitching good. But then 3 of their starters get hurt. And they go down with injuries for season ending. And that's, the beauty. So I really, at the time of the recording, need Simeon Woods Richardson to throw a gem today against the Royals. Please, for the love of God.
Oh, no. Well, and speaking of season ending, Angel Reese, unfortunately. I don't know did you guys see that? She had a season-ending injury. So,
which is wild to me because last year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, would we have even ever paid any attention to the WNBA as us? And I personally don't. I'm a guy that has daughters that play it, and the daughters don't watch it. But now, because of one said phenom, Caitlin Clark, double C's, baby, they watch. I mean, the other day, the kid was on a group chat, and I went to go tell her something, and my daughter's like, I'm watching football with my dad. And one was like, I'm watching the Fever game. And I'm like, well done, Caitlin Clark. Well done.
Absolutely. And it's so cool to see too. And like some people still hate on it. And I'm like, it'll grow on you. I was like, it's actually really fun to watch now. And you love to see the drama in the league as well sometimes too. So I'm like, oh shit, getting spicy.
I mean, there's drama in the NBA too. It's just a little more fitting, I guess, maybe in the WNBA. And they play at a height. Like I would, if I could afford and was out that way, I would love to bring my family to like a Fever game or even, to a closest one, because I bet it's good basketball. It really is.
If I wanted to watch women play with small balls, I'd just give them a call. I'm kidding. That's terrible. No, what Caitlin Clark has done for the game, love her, hate her, or otherwise. I'm a Nebraska fan. I'm not a fucking Iowa fan. But what she's done for the game is amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching women's basketball.
Yep. But not as much as volleyball. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, I am a Nebraska fan.
Hey-o.
But it's amazing. It's unbelievable to see the amount of people that are watching, and you're seeing that. Just wait till the attendance records are released for the whole year. Wait until you're seeing like how much money is being made, not just from merchandise, but from ticket sales and everything else, and how that's affecting the economy. It is nothing but good. And it's exciting. I haven't, and this goes to show kind of how it's affected my life. I haven't checked box scores weekly, daily, like this since Alex Gordon played for the Royals. I was a huge Alex Gordon fan because I'm a Nebraska guy.
Yep.
He played in Nebraska, and I wanted to watch what he was doing every day. And so every day I'd wake up and, he was 1 for 4, he was 2 for 4, he was, whatever. I wanted to see how he was doing for the Royals. I do that now for Caitlin Clark. It's amazing.
It is. I do the same thing, but now social media, it seems like they know that I checked it once or twice, so I can be on social media and it'll be like, Caitlin Clark with a triple-double last night, and it just feeds it to me, and I'm like, thanks, Google, for always listening and watching and paying attention to what I'm doing. Like, I do appreciate that most of the time.
So enjoy it, especially for a time where after a time where people rightfully so complained that women don't get their their due when it comes to sports, because watching women's sports has always been enjoyable. I'm not saying that, the conversation of are they better than men or whatever, who gives a shit? It's I love watching women's soccer and I love watching women's basketball and
yep,
women's
volleyball. High
volleyball.
level, like the Olympics, the World Cup, stuff like that. It's fun to watch. And let's be honest, all the other sports, we don't always have the ability, whether you find a stream online, you pay for a streaming service, or you have a TV. That's not always nationally broadcasted, a lot of those games. I have to imagine it's regional. There's nobody near me for anything, so I'm not being able to. But last couple of years, we've been able to watch like Syracuse women's basketball. They've been pretty good. Some soccer and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really, I think the world has evolved enough where they're like, all right, let's start putting these major women's sports on TV. And hopefully it pays off for the youth, being a dad, and we all have girls. So, the sports and the interest and stuff. Yeah, it's good. Good to see some positive role models in the world for the old ladies.
It is. It's really nice. And I don't know, it's, I don't know, like whenever I was growing up, it was like Leslie Sparks and stuff like that. So there was like some female role models and stuff, but
the girl from UConn, I can never say her name, Diana Taurasi or whatever it is.
Taurasi, Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Sparks. Those are, I mean, to your point, those are the three that I knew. Beyond that, maybe if you said it and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that name. But now I'm paying attention. I wouldn't know who the second best, not best, but the second most talked about player in the league for the WNBA was. I couldn't be able to tell you that.
But like I can name like a lot of the teams now too. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't have done that back in the day. I couldn't have told you more than I probably couldn't have told you one, honestly.
I couldn't to this day tell you any of the past WNBA champions. Fucking no.
You know what I didn't know? I didn't know that the WNBA. When do you think it was when it started? If you don't know, I just looked it up.
If I remember correctly, I want to say 96, 97.
96. Well, I would have said like 2000, 2001, but just 96.
I'll give it to my cousin. He was super excited when they announced the WNBA because he was excited to watch it. He had like all the posters and everything. I was like, dude, what are you watching women's basketball? I was 10 years old. You're watching women's basketball for it. Michael Jordan's playing, dummy. But
it's pretty awesome.
And it's crazy to see how fast it grew in just 1 year as well. You know what I mean? To make that leap. So it's wild. Now, speaking of another sports individual, did you guys see the other interview with Shannon Sharpe with Marlon Wayans?
No, it's a good one. I didn't see it yet.
I've only seen clips, and so, but yeah, they talk about Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, just a lot about the individuals within Living Color and everything. And
is it worth it?
From the clips that I've seen and everything, I don't know if it's as good as Cat Williams, but he talks about some secrets about the industry and stuff like that, and how he turned down Fox money. It was like $75,000 per episode, and how I forget the exact reference, but I believe on the last episode that they were on, there's like a holiday episode, and they're standing in the back with unison with their fist ups. I'm not gonna do it.
No. But I'm gonna have to put that on the old watch list.
So it's from what I've seen in the clips, and everything, I'm like, oh shit, some more juice. So I've got some time today between some football games and checking the fantasy score to see some of that stuff. Oh, ADHD moment too. I'm so sorry. Speaking of fantasy scores, my wife getting her introduced into some fantasy sports, women's sports, almost correlated there. She didn't give a fuck about fantasy, and I was like, I'm the one who even signed her up. I'm like, hey, you don't have a choice. Like, you're just gonna do this, and she's just been fighting on this about me this entire time. Showed her the waiver wire and everything, and how to pick up players and stuff. She's like, okay, this is starting to make sense. Still, she's like, I'm not gonna look at it. Don't care. We watched the Chiefs and Ravens game. She started hearing that Rice was getting some receptions. She's seen that Derrick Henry got a touchdown. She's like, I think I have a couple of these players. And I'm like, oh yeah, why don't you check? She's looking, she's like, I'm beating this guy's ass right now. I'm like, okay, but you really don't give you don't care though, still, right? Care, she's like, no, not really. And then Rice got another good play, and she's like, he's getting smoked. Does he know that he's trash? Like, he is absolutely Trash. And Brandon, I don't know if I told you this too, but when she drafted, she thought that she had picked up. She's like, my team is really good. I have Ray Rice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's Rashee Rice. And she's like, no. It's Ray Rice. I know who he is. He's good. And I'm like, do you remember what he's famous for? So I showed her and she's like, oh, that guy sucks.
Yeah,
never mind. Okay. And I was like, yeah, Rashee just likes to go 119 miles an hour. He's different.
It's pretty quick, yeah. I'm just gonna press the lobby floor in the elevator and drop Ray Rice. So, all right. Well, I looked at the clock for the first time, and it looks like we can head out of here. Oh, Brandon's got one more. Yeah.
I would like to take a moment, if I can, to close out the show. And at least I'll give you the segment before the closeout.
Heck yeah.
I would like to take a moment to thank a fine gentleman in my life who had a big impact on it this week. I was worried. I thought I had something terrible happen to me physically, and contacted a friend whom I know had a similar issue, and made a text, and within minutes he texted me back and said, "Hey, are you available for a call?" And he picked up the call, and I said, "Hey, you've had testicular torsion before, right?" He was like, "Oh, yeah." He goes, and I go, "What are the signs?" He goes, "Well, is one of your buddies about the size of a grapefruit or much larger than the other?" "No." Okay. And might I add, acted with the supreme and utmost ability to have a bedside manner, and yet was very, very professional in his questioning. And he goes, "The pain that you're experiencing in your buddies down there, does it come from the tip of your buddy, the very outside of it, or does it feel like it's coming from the inside?" And I haven't thought about this. I don't know. So for a moment, I kind of put my finger out and kind of felt where the pain was coming from, and I was like, it's coming from the outside. He goes, "Oh, you're fine. You don't have it. No, don't worry." That good buddy was Euban wagging off, and I just want to say thank you, Euban.
Hey.
Because I was worried. I was having pain in my nut, like all the way. I was like, "Dude, what the fuck's happened?" For like a couple of hours. And I was like, "Did I twist did all the stuff inside become twisted and tangled? And is it like that?" And I couldn't quite tell. I'm sitting down, and I'm like, my pain's kind of hurting. It's like, it's weird. It feels weird.
Yeah.
I texted him, and he called me, or I called him, and it was good. So thank you.
I'm no doctor, but I was happy to help. And so whenever I asked him to, I was like, "Hey, whenever the pain happens, are you dropping to the fetal position?" And he's like, No, it's not that severe. And I was like, "You're good, buddy. Don't worry." Good. I was like, "You're fine." And I told my wife that story too, and she's like, "Well, honey, it could have been this, it could have been that. What did you tell him?" And I'm like, "Easy." I'm like, "We're good. Like everything's fine." She's like, "Tell him to go to the doctor." I'm like, She always wants everyone to go to the doctor. I'm like, "Nope." I was like, I gave him a prescription, told him what to do. He hasn't texted me that he has any other problems. I guess we're fine.
Yeah, once you put the finger in the butt, the pain's a different style pain.
That's right. That's right. And two, so you keep the doctor away for a couple of weeks. So
it's funny. He goes by Euban Wackenoff until you call him for his off hours hotline. Then he's Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah,
that's right.
Nice enough not to let me have to pay copay this time, and so I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Hey, I will never turn down a feet pic. So whenever you're ready.
Especially with free toes.
I'm going to go down to the Mexican restaurant and send you some pictures of pig feet.
Hey. That could be taken one of 5 ways. With that being said, I probably should have done this at some point, but let's give a quick shout out to some friends of the show. Better late than never. We're saving the best for last, they say. Shout out to Vermont Flannels. I'm rocking one. I love the hoodies. Love it. Check it out. Use code BeardLaws24 for the rest of the year. Check them out, all you leafers. Speaking of leaf, Yellow Leaf Hammocks. If you guys haven't checked them out, I recently got what is called the Vista. It's a hammock portable chair. I know you were talking about your fancy chair with the hydraulics. This is a portable hammock chair. They use 2 miles of yarn to do it. Dude, it's the most comfiest thing. Like, I set it up. The wife was like, "Hey, let me try it out." I came back 15 minutes later, out like a light. Granted, was the first week of school. Was you a little tired? Yeah, thing is amazing. Highly recommend checking this out. And this one, I don't know if you guys got this yet. I think I put.
Good.
Did you guys get any potential peanut butter?
I did.
I made a sandwich with some fucking nut peanut butter.
Fucking nuts. Isn't it fucking nuts how awesome it not only the name is, but the taste?
Yes. My kids were delighted to be able to say the name of the peanut butter over and over again. So how wonderful that was.
I have to tell, and I have to tell a story into our good friends that did send us this nut butter. I want to say the goodness comes at the end, so just follow me here. I get this stuff, and my wife goes, Why does it look like that? It looks weird. Like the bottle, like the way that it's like. She's like, it's upside down. And I was like, honey, it's freaking like 20 times better than Nutella. You just have to try to give it a chance. Mm-hmm. And go to work. Next day, I come home, and I see the bottle downstairs in our basement next to the big screen TV. And I'm like, honey, we don't have a dog. But I'm kidding.
That'd be fucking nuts.
But I was like, honey, so you like it, huh? It's good. And she goes, I ate it with my banana. And I was like, holy shit, out here eating chocolate with bananas. I didn't even think of that.
I was going to ask what you guys got. We got the one that was the chocolate almond or whatever, and then the normal peanut butter.
Yep, that's what we got.
Yep.
Same.
So we made with the chocolate one. I just like to make butter and the spread sandwiches with the chocolate. Kids love it. Go to bed covered in chocolate, but
sometimes the food stars align because it happened to be buy one get one free English muffins. So don't we pick those up and then the same day roll in and got some fucking nuts peanut butter? That's all I've been eating for breakfast and lunch is no joke, just English muffins, fucking nuts peanut butter.
How do you spell that?
Fawkin, like a hawk, but fuck.
And it is so awesome, dude. It is very. And what was terrible though is you were talking about how it was presented, with the label upside down and everything, and so the kids were looking at it when we opened it, and so whenever I took the little foil off, it looked like somebody had already put a banana into it. You know what I mean? And so without hesitation, my wife walks by and she goes, "Well, your dad's already got into it," and I'm like, "Whoa, wow!"
And then you should have said. Huh. I was wondering why your breath smelled like peanut butter.
Dang it. I wasn't that fast.
All right. Now you're prepared with one. But dude, it's awesome. And again, thank you to Fucking Nuts for sending us some peanut butter. I genuinely love it. If I didn't, I wouldn't bring it up. And guys, check them out. There's no promo codes or nothing. Whatever you guys spend goes right back to them. It's affordable. It's like $10-11. And it is a very, very good. You can taste the difference between, other, I would say normal, air quote, normal peanut butters and Fucking Nuts. It's delicious. So thank you to them as well. Love it. So, all right, that's all I got. You guys got anything else?
No, I'm gonna go bust a nut and eat some nuts. So I'm ready.
I was gonna say I'm starving, haven't ate. I'm gonna go try to probably have an English muffin with some Fucking Nuts peanut butter and probably go drive around. Good luck to, again, this is Thursday, so we're on week 2 of the football. Hopefully all of your teams won, unless they're teams that we don't like, then fuck them. So, well, we'll see what kind of mood we are in next week with sports and food. And listen, you little fuckers, stay out of my fridge. Bye. Buckle up tight. It's gonna be alright. We're diving deep into your fridge where secrets hide. Mysteries of leftovers, the wonders inside. From moldy sandwiches to ancient yogurt jar.